Couple of breaths starting to flow for us already. Huge inhales. Relaxed exhales. Kind of trying to, in this moment, decrease breaths per minute. A large part of our focus today is going to be on the intestine area. So this means we're doing core strengthening for the abdomen area, including back muscles and stuff. So that'll be our biggest area of focus, in addition to other goodies. But that's kind of our big focus today is the intestines, the intestinal health. And so know that the more stressed we are, the worse our intestines are. That adrenaline and cortisol, those hormones, they make it so that very little blood flow is brought to the intestines. Instead, it's brought to the fight or flight muscles, the arms, the legs, so that we can run or fight, whatever we need to do. But when we bring ourselves to the rest and digest state, there's so much more blood flow, so much more health and wellness in our intestines, in our guts. So this first moment, what we're going to do here, I'll watch the clock for about a minute. What I want us to do is to try to decrease the breaths per minute. So keep the inhale going as long as you possibly can. No rush, but eventually when it has to turn to the exhale, let that also be super, super long. The idea is maybe one day getting to the point where our lungs and our diaphragm are so strong, where we can maybe even reach just one breath per minute. Such a slow inhale, such a long exhale. And doing that is so helpful, like I said, for the rest in the digest system. You cannot take slow breaths if you're in danger. That's just not how it works. So we got just a little bit longer here. Another count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Return back to whatever your normal natural breath is. We'll start to take our knees in toward the chest. And with a hand on each knee, do any sorts of little low back or hip movements, circles, just a hug, whatever feels good. So the first thing that we're going to do is work on some strengthening for the one knee coming in, the second leg hovering. So bring hands to clasp around the right knee and begin to extend the left leg out to hover, perhaps right above the ground. If you want to make it easier, you'll hover a bit higher. That'll be a nice exhale. Take an inhale. Exhale, switch to second knee in. And take an inhale. Exhale, switch. So starting to warm up the hip flexor muscles. This will prepare us for one of the first stretches that we'll do that will start to get into the abdominal area. But yeah, just start to feel some of that length going on right in the hip flexors. So 3 more switches each side. And 2. And last one. And then bring the right knee back into the chest. Let the left leg drop on the ground. Once we're here, our goal is to try to get the thigh touching in as close to the waist as possible. We might even wrap that right forearm under the knee to try to pull that right thigh in so tightly. The more surface area we can get trying to touch that waist, the more this brings us into the pose that some people call the wind relieving pose, because what it does is give that gentle pressure, gentle massage to the intestines right on that right side. So it's helping to compress the colon. Now try to keep the clasp as tight as we have it. If hands are around the outer knee, switch to the inner part of the thigh. And then without letting any of the surface area that's touching the waist, without releasing any of that, begin to try to muscularly straighten this right leg as much as it'll go. So it probably will not go all the way straight, staying this tightly inward, but just kind of feel that moment where those hamstring muscles are trying to go for straight. You'll feel a little bit of toning, a little bit of strengthening going on. So another couple of breaths. Good, and then with this eventual release, relax this right leg to drop all the way on the ground. Pull this left knee in, maybe already setting up the forearm under that knee. And we're trying to compress the thigh to the waist area. Even let your breath be down into the belly, so each breath is like an extra massage for that part of the colon. And then this will be that moment where we're gripping onto back of thigh and we try to muscularly straighten the left leg as much as it's willing to go without releasing any of the connection of the thigh. One more inhale. Exhale, unwind from that left knee, leaving the left knee bent. We'll take our fingers to pick up the backside of the head and we'll twist right elbow to that left knee. Set up the right leg hovering, and then let's do our exhales to switch here. It's almost like a little twisting action that we're getting in the intestines, because we're using the obliques to do this elbow stretch. So here is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, good work. Feel that abdominal area, that nice work that we just did. Plant the feet, and let's take a nice bridge pose. Hands are resting. Inner thighs are already slightly squeezing in, not to touch inner thighs necessarily, but to make sure the knees don't splay open. From there, lift up tailbone, scoop up hips, raise up one vertebrae at a time, maybe clasping hands under the back, maybe even walking shoulders under. And feel how these are very different muscle groups. We're feeling ourselves breathing into the belly. Here's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release the hands, roll the hips back down. Once hips are back on the floor, take the knees right above the hips, Shins stick straight out at a nice 90-degree angle, and arms begin to spread open to left and right. From this placement, we use our exhales to anytime we're taking the knees back into this midline. Inhales anytime we're twisting the knees away from the midline. You choose how far it goes. Really feel the stretch starting to happen in the intestines. And then exhale brings us right back through the center. So inhale to tilt. Exhale, center. This makes it much less about momentum, just kind of tilting, and much more about the abdominal effort of really trying to use that exhale, that contraction, to invite everything back. This helps make that intestine area super strong, much more powerful than if we were to simply make it tilt like a clock, like a metronome, left and right, left and right. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring hands around the right knee again. Extend left leg long. This time will be for a nice twist. But first, take just a moment pulling that right knee back in. Good. Once it's set up pretty close to the thigh, the belly to the thigh, start to take that right knee to a nice twist. Establish right shoulder solidly on the ground. And then the big thing that we're thinking about here is elongating the side waist. So think about the right hip and the right shoulder and try to pull those 2 points away from one another as far as possible. And in doing that, you can feel how the intestines are creating just a little bit more space on that right side. One more good inhale. And exhale, we'll return the right leg long, placing it on the ground. Left knee comes in, give it a hug for a moment. And then start to bring it into that twist. Left shoulder's established on the ground, and then the left hip is trying to pull as far away as possible. One more good inhale. And exhale, return hips back to the ground. From here, both legs go straight up to the sky. Leaving the legs upright, try to allow the legs to straighten as much as possible. This means that quadricep muscles are squeezing just a little bit. Hands can be on the floor or thumbs slightly tucked under the hips. And from here, we choose an angle where we can lower the legs down and it's not too hard. So maybe a foot or two, not super far yet because we're going to keep on doing a few deeper angles. Make sure that the low back is solidly flat on the ground. Notice how the core has to contract quite a bit deeper to make the low back flat. Good, we'll choose another angle lower. Make sure the legs are trying to straighten. Make sure low back is still flat on the ground. If low back starts to arch, your legs go a little bit higher instead. Good, let's choose one more angle if there's still space to lower without low back arching. Good. Rise up one of those angles. Rise up to the second to last one. And then rise up, legs all the way above our hips. Just 3 more breaths. And then bend the knees, planting the feet for a moment. While we're here, place all of the 4 fingertips on top of one another. And then we're going to do some circles right along the belly. So we start off closer to the right hip. And then we trace up from there, across the solar plexus, down the left side, and then back to the start. We trace it in this direction because that's how the colon goes. It goes in that circular direction. So a couple of nice circles, continuing to help our intestines out. The intestines are very symbolic of absorbing everything that's helpful and releasing everything else. So it's like, what if every person in the world had something for us to learn? And we don't have to take everything that we've learned from them. Just like the intestines take all the nutrients that are helpful, and then they just send everything else right on down. But it's like, what if we took more time to try to listen to people so that we can learn from what their experience is? Maybe one more good circle. Good, and as that comes to a completion, let's extend legs back up, trying to straighten them as much as possible. Maybe thumbs back under the hips. This time will be a bit faster with more momentum. You get to choose how far down you drop. And I exhale to bring us up. Maybe even in past midline. And then inhale to lower, exhale to return. Here's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Knees bend, send them to another twist. Both knees going to the right this time. Again, how much can you feel the twist into the abdominal area rather than making it about any other part of the spine? Knees come up and then tilt them over to the second side, making this again about the intestines, lots of length. And then as our knees start to come back up again, open the arms, that figure T on the ground. We'll do the same thing as before, where we use our inhale to tilt partway to one side, exhale to come back through the center and second side. This time, if you want to increase difficulty even further, you are allowed to straighten the legs, but know that you don't have to. Straightening the legs, you want to be careful not to torque the spine at all. Exhales to return, inhales to go. It's almost like we're shaking out all of those intestines, helping to massage it and also to get it to move around. Let's go 2 more each side. And 1. Beautiful. A moment with happy baby pose, grabbing onto the outside edges of feet. We can be in stillness, we can be in rocking, we can be straightening and bending. Notice how when the knees are going wide in the happy baby, that's kind of like that wind relieving pose where it kind of puts a little bit of that extra pressure into the two lateral edges of the waist. Good, and as we're happy there, we can start releasing the legs to a huge figure X on the ground, stretch the arms up overhead, also an X. And this next movement will be in two parts. First, we take opposite elbow to opposite knee, so maybe start with right elbow to right knee. We do a crunch up, and then return back down to the floor. The second part is the same arm and same leg, stay straight this time, joining together right above our torso, and then lowering down. Then we switch sides, elbow, and then fingertips. Exhale, exhale. The first half of it does kind of lift the head up. The second half, head is welcome to stay resting. Three, 2, 1. Good. We can do that last side just to balance it off if you didn't do the left side twice. Good. And then just rest on the ground. Good. Feel the abdominal area have a slight arch. That's nice for giving the intestines some space. So to help increase the space in the side areas, let's begin to take a banana stretch. So take the right ankle all the way over to that left ankle, and maybe even scoot the legs even further to the left. Up above head, grab onto right wrist and scoot the shoulders off that left side. A huge banana off to that left side. Huge banana to left. This can be absolutely passive, or this can be active, pushing against wrist and ankle. You choose the difficulty just based on how the waist and the intestines are receiving it, either way. Another nice inhale. Exhale, gentle release. Let's work our spine back onto the mat. And then we can switch sides. Left ankle over right, legs to the right. Grabbing onto left wrist, scoot the shoulders a little bit over to the right. If you had an active quality before, maybe push against those two connections. Otherwise, passive opening is perfectly fine if you feel it really opening into the intestine area. One more inhale. And exhale, back onto our mat. Here, take the knees in. Let's roll like a ball a few times, rocking up and back. 2 more. And then this last one, stay for a little bit longer in boat pose. Maybe hands release. One more inhale. Exhale, grab onto the ankles, setting the knees wide. This is going right into cobbler's pose, so let the spine continue to relax up and over. Feel how this is giving a light compression to the abdominal cavity. It's almost like this is a massage. We can even breathe into that area to help the massage continue to flow. Raise up just enough that the right leg can open out to the right, and then we'll relax back forward. Again, rise up enough to switch the legs, and then go forward one more time. Okay, as we rise up, both legs open to a comfortable angle. Place the fingers behind us for a moment. This will give our intestines a chance to arch back the other way. So fingers behind us, heart forward and through. Feel those abdominal area, all those intestines getting a break now. Lots of length. Good, one more inhale. And then exhale back upright, normal. See if you can keep the legs engaged enough, posture tall, that the arms can float out at shoulder height. And so from here, what we're going to do is start with the arms directly in front of you. And this will feel kind of like a sprinkler. We're going to take 3 pulses on the inhale to open. So let's say if we're using the right hand, we pulse about a third of the way open. That's an inhale, another third, another inhale, and then the third as far as your abdominal area can twist open. And then exhale to bring us right back to start. So the second side, inhale, 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 exhale all the way to start like a sprinkler. So the intestines open into that twist. Twice more each arm. Last each arm. Good, now arms are open to each side. Cross the right pinky finger to try to reach the right pinky, left pinky finger to right pinky toe, there we go. And then right back up tall. Exhale, second side. And up. So the length of the intestines and then the compression in the intestines. Three. 2. Last one each. Good, bringing the fingertips in front of us, simply slide forward. Rising back up, take the legs into boat pose. In this boat pose, fingers can always go on the ground if you need it to be easier. Otherwise, what we do is we allow our inhale to be toes extending out. Exhale, touch both elbows to the side of one thigh. Inhale out, exhale, second thigh. If you even need to just be doing one leg at a time, a couple of rounds, and then the other leg, that would be another variation that's perfectly fine. That's okay, that's okay. Yeah, just do whatever amount is okay, even if it's not all the way straight. And 3, and 2, and 1. Grab your ankles, set up into another cobbler, relaxing back forward. Okay, this time as we start to roll the spine up, try to come directly through into the boat pose, or maybe legs extending boat pose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then cross an ankle. See if you can come forward and through onto hands and knees. Give the spine a couple of moments. Maybe it's your hips that feel tight. You wag left and right. Maybe this will be cat-cow going up and down. You've got some options. Okay, when we're back to neutral, this next one can either be done on wrists or on elbows, depending on how the wrists feel. We start off in plank, and then we kind of go back and forth between downward facing dog, your plank, to a slight upward facing dog. So it's like getting that abdominal stretch, and then the inversion. If you're down on elbows, same thing. It's through plank, lift up, and then lower almost to ground. And then back and forth a couple of rounds. Even if the movement isn't quite as large as anybody else, that's okay. We're getting what our intestines are capable of right now. Maybe 3 more full rounds. 2. And 1. Good. When we go to child pose today, we're going to take 2 fists together, place those fists in the belly, so that when we lean forward, we're getting a little bit of extra pressure in the abdominal area. And as we continue to breathe, we're breathing into that area. If it gets to be too much, you can release the hand, or even widen knees. Okay, unwinding. Plant the hands, take a downward facing dog. We'll float our right leg up for a moment, bending the knee, sending the toe slightly behind. Not so much about the hip today as it is about lengthening the abdominal waist area. And then step that right foot in between hands. From there, we'll see if we can float up nice and easily, right foot forward. And then this back knee is going to bend and straighten. A good lunge shape. Arms can be whatever placement helps us balance. Here's 3, 2, 1. And then as fingers go to the ground in front of that front foot, Float the back leg up. And we're doing kind of like little squats. The back knee touches the front knee bends. And then extend right back out like a supported warrior 3. Just 4 more of those. Touch and extend. 3, 2, and 1. Good. As you float that leg back out, maybe try to lift right fingers for a moment, twisting through the abdominal area. It's a revolved half moon. Good. That's okay. Drop the fingers, drop the toes. We're hanging down. Maybe even fists into the belly for that light pressure in the abdominal area. Breathe belly breaths. Good. Fingers drop down. We'll step back to the down dog shape so that left leg can float. Maybe send the toes behind, opening that hip. And we step the left foot in between hands. Float the back heel. We try to rise up with balance. Arms are balancing whatever way works. Back knee bends and straightens. Here is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Drop the fingers slightly in front of the front foot. We're coming up to that supported warrior 3, right leg floating. And then that squat, the back knee touches the front knee and then extends back out. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Keep that back leg floating for a moment longer. Left hand tries to lift to the revolved half moon. So the abdominal twisting open. And then hand and foot drop. Maybe fist to the belly. Good. Dropping the hands down, bring the big toes to touch. We'll try to lower through a toe squat. And then one hand in front, one hand behind to lower down onto the floor. Coming to a comfortable seated place. This will be right leg long, left foot planted. And we'll take a twist from here. So right hand or right elbow hooks. Straighten the spine up. And this twist is about bringing the belly into the thigh and then revolving the intestines as much as they feel okay with. Keep those belly breaths going for that massage. Return forward, let that left thigh fall down to the floor. Inhale, circle arms really high up. Exhale, stretch over. Okay, when we rise up, switch the legs out. Now it's right foot planted and it's the left hand or the left elbow that hooks. Posture sets up tall and twist. Good, return forward, thigh falls open, circle up, and relax over. One more deep inhale. Exhale, rise up. Take a moment through boat pose. Knees go wide, grab onto ankles, set it in cobbler. Up through boat pose, maybe legs extending longer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try to cross one ankle in front. See if you can roll forward and through onto hands and knees. And then here onto plank or elbow plank, your choice. From here, we're shaking the hips out, kind of more for the abdominal area than anything else. So think of it like we're shaking, left and right. So it's not a full hip drop to each side, but it's just kind of like shaking the hips, left and right, left and right, left and right. It's nice because it also helps to strengthen the oblique muscles. A couple more breaths. Here's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a moment with the child pose, maybe fists into the waist. Then we'll go up to downward facing dog when you're ready. This will be a down dog. You choose how long it is until you're ready to go up to the top of the mat. The top of the mat, if you want fists into belly, that's okay. Sooner or later, no rush. Okay, let's take 2 more breaths. And you're welcome to bend the knees and roll up, or just free the arms and circle up, your choice. Good, if you ever need a break for knees to be bent before your head is ready to be standing, that's fine. When you're here, we're heading toward one of our last things. So we'll start off shifting our weight into the right foot. Left knee tries to float. For some of us, this might be enough balance, so you don't have to take any more steps. If we want to try for a twist, take your right hand to the outer left knee. Left arm starting to open behind, feel the abdominal muscles twisting open. Yeah, nothing wrong. And then if you still want more, you're welcome to take right hand to the outside of that left foot and kick it long. Also twisting. Good. Rotate the torso open. Kick that leg back like a warrior 3. Gently land the toes, arms sweep up. 3 times. We bring that back knee up for this balance, and then touch back. 2. Good. One more time up, and then land the foot when you're done there, and second side. So now right knee will start to float, try to balance. This is okay to stay, or left hand grabs, starting to twist the abdominal area, rotating open. And if this is still doing okay, maybe left hand to the right outer foot to extend. Good. Eventually everybody releases to kick back any angle of warrior 3. A gentle land, arms sweep up. And 3 cycles. Here's 3. And 2. And 1. Good work. Coming up, stay, and rolling from the head down. So neck gets a little stretch for a moment, super slow. Shoulders start to get the stretch. We're working through the lower ribs. And then when we get about to that belly area, breathe the belly into the thighs. Knees can be bent, knees can be straight, your preference. Good. So from here, start to heel toe the big toes to touch. This next thing will be another one of those toe squats. So if your knees don't like it, drop down to your knees instead. I'll show you a different variation. And so as we start to lift up the heels, you can touch the glutes down to the heels. If this is okay, maybe try to bring hands to the heart for a moment. And we're gonna try to set up in a twist. So the right hand hooks on that left side, even trying to slide all the way to the floor. And then the left arm tries to twist up to the sky. And this might be really hard, so yeah, you can bring it to the inner thigh instead. Good. See if you can have control, trying to come back up to the center. And then second side, left hand, and then continue to slide down, fingers to the floor. And then twist up. Beautiful. Dropping down. From here, the feet separate a little bit so that the knees can turn super wide outward. The hips counterbalance backwards as we reach forward. If you're on the ground here, go ahead and just go in toward a cobbler pose, just kind of leaning forward. Good. And we'll head down to sitting. So we'll have one hand in front, one hand behind. Gently lower the hips down to the ground. Once we're here, the left leg goes on the ground. The right foot tries to cross to the outer part of that left. If that makes the hips have to lift, just go to be foot planted in front of it instead. So from that twist, left hand or left elbow hooks. This is another spinal twist. We try to breathe the belly, the abdominal area, into the thigh. Good, returning forward. We'll see if we're on the cross, we'll see if that right knee is okay stacking on top of the left knee. If not, just go to a simple cross leg instead. Hands go on the floor and then slide forward. Okay, when we rise, we'll start to try to transition through a boat pose. And then we'll try to see if we can switch the legs. So now it's left crossing over. And then we hook the right hand or the right elbow. Try to straighten the spine to twist the belly into the thigh. And then breathe into that twist. Turning forward, either the knee stack or the cross leg sit. And then slide our hands forward. Okay, as we rise up, try to transition directly to boat pose. And then grab ankles, setting into cobbler. One last cobbler for today. Up to boat pose, maybe legs extending. Good, and this this time when we come out, come to a simple cross-legged seat. There's one little breath I'd like us to play with a couple of rounds. This breath is like when little kids suck their gut into the belly. That's kind of the action. I like to have my hands on my knees because that helps me engage my core a little bit. And once I do that exhale, I also will kind of lock my chin in. That just helps me. So the idea is you exhale completely. When you have no more air left in, you suck your guts in. And then you kind of try to hold until you feel like you need to breathe. When you need to breathe, first release the belly and then let yourself, take that inhale. I like to do a full breath cycle in and out before I go into the next round. So let's try at least 3 or 4 rounds of this, trying to get that belly in. That's a really good massage for that intestine area. So start off with the inhale. Exhale completely. Squeeze it in. When you need to breathe, pop the belly out first and then inhale. Feel free to take a full round of breath before you do a couple more rounds of this. Eventually breathing out, suck it in. Maybe one more. Whenever you're back to that last inhale, this is the point where you're welcome to take any last stretches your body might need. These could be seated things. These could be on our back again. It's up to you. Any last things that would help your practice feel very complete for your body. You can literally take as much time as you want. So some of us may already almost be ready for Shavasana. Some of us can take another full minute. There's no rush. Take all the time you want. One recommendation I have once we are getting close to our Shavasana is do a few more of those little belly circles before you completely relax into Shavasana. That'll give kind of like one last little piece of love to your belly. And still no rush, but once you've done that a few times, it might be nice just to leave the hands resting on the belly during Shavasana today. If your body wants something else, nothing wrong with that. But perhaps just resting and breathing space into your hands. Here, begin to deepen inhales and exhales. Introduce little movements to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually coming to fetal position. Couple of breaths until you feel ready to rise sooner or later. Whenever we arise, we'll join our hands together in front of our hearts. And we think of that idea of the intestines assimilating all the nutrients and letting everything else go. How can we apply that to our life? How can we receive from more and more people, even receiving criticism? And we take what's useful out of it and we let all the rest go. So with this kind of inspiration, with this idea to lead us into the next segment of our day, let's wrap up the time we got to share together with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light, and happiness, and peace. Namaste.